Welcome back, YouTube. So in this video, we're going to cover a few important topics. One, we're going to talk about on a historic trend. We have about 7 months until we get to, if we're following the previous trend, we have about 7 months until we hit peak bull run, 6, 7 months. And we're also going to talk about the price point that we have for entry now, because this may be coming up here within the next week or so. This may be one of the last great opportunities that we have here until we start that ascend to go into the peak bull run season. And I'm going to deal with a couple of these things here because I know in my last video I was talking about the potential of a sell-off right now, and then people are saying, "Well, everything's rallying, everything's green. Why did you say there was going to be a sell-off?" And normally, as we talked about with September, as far as for like quadruple witching, which is going to happen next Friday, we typically see this pump or rally leading into that day, right? So you can consider it as they are, I won't say baiting people, but they are, before they have this sell-off where you see, like if you're looking at a lot of the reports, you'll see like a lot of the people took profit on like NVIDIA and some of the option contract, a lot of the option contracts, a lot of them are already getting out of them. And then you'll see the actual expiration come up next week, and you will see this dip here. And normally this dip, especially in crypto, it can be a double-digit dip, right? As far as for percentage wise. So when you see this, you have to kind of keep in mind that, okay, well, this is a part of the strategy here, and don't necessarily look at what is happening leading up to an historic sell-off time period, right? This has nothing to do with the market, politics, Fed rates, anything like this. This is a clockwork thing. It's kind of like the seasons coming. This happens every year, so it's to be expected. The question is, how much of a dip, or how great will it be? How long will it last? That's typically the question here. So what we're looking at here is an opportunity here. If we're positioning ourselves sometime, I say probably like Tuesday through Friday of next week, we should see a tick down, right? And this, based off of the time frame and historics around it, this could be one of the last opportunities that we have to see these prices before we start that ascend, if we're matching the previous trend here as far as for the 4-year cycle and really just the historics around that entire movement. Now, why this is important is because we have a large amount of people that still try to time the market or are waiting for conviction that we're going to have. I see a lot of splits as far as for people that think that we've already peaked. I see a lot of people that are optimistic about going into this new season here, Q4, going into Q1 of next year. They believe that we're starting we're going to still trend historically with what we've always done as far as in the crypto market. So they believe that the actual bull run hasn't even started yet. And that's going to be a catalyst depending on how you view whether we've been in the cycle of peak bull run or not. That's going to determine what you're going to do here if we were to see this dip around quadruple witching. And remember, this isn't conclusive to the crypto market. It's not conclusive to the stock market. This happens across many factors here. Crypto market typically feels it, but this is going on in the stock market. It's going to affect stock prices, contracts, option contracts, future contracts. All this, it's all happening at the same time. So this is this flip. This is this adjustment that we see by companies to try and hit their Q4 targets, right? And they're going to switch up contracts, do projections. Hey, we need to pull money from here. We need to be more aggressive here. This is what those finishing the year strong. This is what those bonuses are tied to for a lot of these large corporations, like these hedge funds, these businesses. Hitting those targets, this is what determines their payout and their bonuses here. So this can be a very aggressive time. So typically what we'll see is that dip because of the selling that's going on, and then the repositioning is going to pump back up, and then you can possibly see some more aggressiveness here to try and hit a lot of those targets. And this is why October is typically okay, but November is a really good month. That's like when you, if you're looking at the historics as far as for the averages that the market returns, November is really good. That's that big push going into December. Because yes, a lot of shopping and money is spent in December, but a lot of people are taking off for the holidays. So November is typically that month that you see that aggressiveness really pay off. So this is like a repositioning that you can say you can take advantage of leading into up to November and then going into peak bull run. So that's really going to matter there as far as for these percentages. Take a look here at the charts where we are now. And again, this can still, more than likely, this will still sell off some late next week. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be aggressive, but we can certainly see a pull down here. But I like where Doge is headed. We're approaching the 72. Breaking above the 72 can give us the opportunity here to go up and test around 12 cents. And this is going to be really good here. Typically, if we're looking at previous trends, that 10 to 12 cents was a big factor as far as the breaking out. On the way up, initially getting into this zone, it was not. Doge typically, it really just blew through it, right? We had around 9 consecutive days of green and charting higher highs. So typically we blew through that number, that around 10 cents relatively quickly. And coming down, it's provided 10 to 12 cents has done more what it has done historically, which has been a support or either a resistance. So you can see it play a more role on the way down. The question is whether or not we're going to see that similar type of energy where we break through that 10-cent mark and go up to around 12 cents and break out of this current fib level. And then we can have that discussion, open it, because that opens us back up to around 14, 15 cents, which is really important because, again, that's been a support resistance level. And then we can go ahead and start that comparison to previous pools of liquidity so that we can start charting some of these higher numbers here. And that's going to play a role looking into the current trend here and doing a correlation with Bitcoin and the liquidity that's flowing in there as well. That's not the chart I want. Is it Bitstamp? Yep, here we go. So similar price action between the 14 and the 72 here for Bitcoin. Again, this really positions us. Bitcoin has not lost its top of the fib level. So this is really good here. And as far as for the market and showing the strength of the overall market, that each time we dip below around this 55,000 mark, Bitcoin has recovered and returned to profit almost immediately, especially if you're swinging. So this has been a very established pool of liquidity for Bitcoin, and this is one of the things. This is one of the factors that I'll use for people saying, "Oh, the bull run's over" or something like that. This is certainly something. One of the factors that I'll use is when Bitcoin starts to give up these support levels that it's maintained throughout this year. Then that's when we can start looking at some lows and stuff. But as long as Bitcoin is coming down here to its pool liquidity and it's enough to send it in the other direction to go retest, I know there's still interest from the market. There's still interest from these major investors here that are looking to position themselves because they're seeing value at these levels. Now, if they were saying Bitcoin is overvalued and you're not seeing that liquidity come in until the 40s or something like that, and we start giving up these zones for the market leader, then that's a bit concerning for me. But right now, as long as we're maintaining this top level here, I am still bullish on this, and I believe that we're more on a historic trend than what we thought earlier this year with the early run and the altcoins running simultaneously next to it. I believe we're more on a historic run here. So again, not in a position here to have any crosses to the upside just yet, but this is still a very aggressive trend here as far as we're going up and retesting. I love to see price action start to use the 72 as a support level if we don't use it as a resistance right now. But again, this is just a current update. I'm still expecting there to be a tick down sometime next week. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's based off of a lot of the swaps that's going to go on here. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be like the end or it's going to be another major sell-off. This is just something that's kind of built into the market. So just kind of expect it as a temporary dip, and then things will resume a trend close to what you saw previously to that. So don't let that discourage you. Again, this is something like fall and winter and summer. It comes this time of the year, every time of the year. So just kind of expect it for those of you who may be unfamiliar with a lot of the market cycles. So that being said, I'll provide you with this update here. I believe we're about 6-7 months out from peak bull run. We are roughly about a week away from an opportunity here that we should see a dip across the markets for the opportunity to invest, especially if you wanted some slightly better deals. Maybe retest these levels here, but I do believe a lot of the levels that we've seen for like 8 cents and 55,000. We may go lower than that, but I doubt it. I believe that's some of the best pricing that we're going to get for this cycle. So let's kind of keep that in mind as well. If we see those levels and you're wondering if it's going to go lower, just got to look at the trends here. Those levels have provided uh, fantastic returns at those price entries. So I wouldn't necessarily be greedy and try and time it to say that we're going to go lower. We may not, but historically those levels have proven themselves to be very profitable. So that being said, let me know if we do get this dip next week and we are able to kind of retest some of these levels. Let me know if you're going to participate. And also, I'm going to do a poll, but I want to know if you believe we've already hit peak bull run or if we're just getting started and going into peak bull run season. With that being said, please consider subscribing to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.